What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs have officially signed Jordan McLaughlin to a one-year, $3 million contract. Now, McLaughlin came as part of the three-team trade that landed De'Aaron Fox. Jordan McLaughlin, look, he's a solid kind of point guard, guy that can distribute the basketball, kind of be that point of attack, knock down some shots. Kind of curious to see how much he plays. It kind of feels like this is, just for added depth, right? To kind of have that guy off the bench that can slot in to really either guard position. He's probably best as the point guard, kind of operate and be that sort of playmaker. I don't hate the move, right? Like you kind of look at the Spurs situation, kind of look at kind of the roster and the way it's shaped up. It's like, what kind of positions do you really need? Like, what do you need to kind of fill out the rest of the roster? Like me personally, I've talked about kind of going one of two routes, either going sort of the more veteran route, right, which you could look at Jordan McLaughlin as that route, right? He's 29 years old, right? Guy that's been in the league for some years, right? He's a guy that, is that savvy vet that I do think can kind of help some of the young guys while also playing a role in spots here and there, right? I don't know how many minutes he's actually going to get or how many minutes he's going to play. But I do think he'll get, spot minutes throughout the course of the regular season. I don't know if he'll necessarily be a guy in the rotation, just have a lot of guard depth, unless a move is on the horizon for the Spurs, right? You look at kind of, Devin Vassell, yeah, you could kind of slot him at the three at times, but just worry about the lack of size out on the perimeter. Times with De'Aaron Fox, let's say Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle, and then going with a Devin Vassell. But you kind of figure it out, work it out. The other route that I talked about, I want to see the Spurs go is kind of the kind of flyer, youthful route, right? You look at a guy like a Imani Bates, right? 6'9", versatile wing, probably slot in anywhere 2 through 4 for you because of his size and length and shooting ability, right? Can you go take a gamble on a guy with some upside, some potential, and see if maybe he can be one of those foundation, one of those building block pieces? This was a guy that was looked at as a potential, top pick in his year's draft, and then kind of gotten some, trouble off court stuff, had some injuries, kind of fell down the totem pole. Can you maybe take a flyer on a guy like that? But again, I don't hate the idea of bringing in Jordan McLaughlin, a good hard-nosed type of player that, kind of can set the tone and be just a quality bench rotation guy, locker room vet type guy that can, kind of, again, help with some of the young players and some of the young core. But going into McLaughlin and kind of what he could do, what he could provide for this team, he is a career 37% three-point shooter, so that kind of adds some value there. Now, he only for his career is a 1.6 attempt guy, but he is a good three-point shooter, a guy that can, be that catch and shoot guy, especially when you're playing alongside guys like De'Aaron Fox, so on and so forth. Like, I could see him being a guy that's kind of the point of attack, kind of swing man, initiator on occasion. But, to me, I look at him more so as like I wouldn't mind playing him in like the TJ McConnell role, off the bench, where it's just like, hey, kind of get to your spots, be aggressive, make plays in the course of the action, but for the most part, look to be aggressive. But to me, I look at him more, or my guess is probably more likely, just the guy that comes in, is the initiator, initiates the offense, and then kind of plays more off ball as like the kind of 3-and-D guard for this team. But with the San Antonio Spurs, because again, he played with Sacramento, and then he played with San Antonio. Let's go over the full season first. So he played 46 games, averaged 7 minutes per game. It's kind of where he was with both Sacramento and San Antonio. He was 6.8 minutes with Sacramento, and then 7 minutes with San Antonio. So essentially 7 minutes with both places. Field goal attempts, he averaged 0.7 attempts. He was basically that same thing again at both places on 1.6 attempts. He was exactly 1.6 attempts in both destinations. With Sacramento, he was 36.4% from the field. With San Antonio, he was actually much better across the board. He was 53.6% from the floor. Three-point percentage on the season was 41.3%. He was 38.5% with Sacramento on 0.9 attempts. He was 45% with the San Antonio Spurs, but on 1.1 attempts. So a very small sample size. But again, this is a guy that for his career has been like I mentioned, 37.3% three-point shooter, right? even his years in Minnesota, he had several years in Minnesota where is really he kind of was that the guy in Minnesota, not a big guy, but he had some years where he played 18 to 20 minutes a night, and was even there on 2.5, 3 attempts was 38 to 39%, but 2-point range. He was 33.3% on 0.6 attempts with Sacramento. He was 75%, but again, on half an attempt for the San Antonio Spurs. He really just was much more efficient in the limited minutes and role that he played. EFG, 47.7% in Sacramento, where he was 69.6% with the San Antonio Spurs, and then 56.3% overall on the season. Free throw shooting, he was 100%. He didn't miss a free throw, but it was on 0.3 attempts with the San Antonio Spurs. He was 77% overall on the season, and 68.8% on 0.6 attempts with Sacramento. Will be nice to round up. Full rebound on the season. He was a rebound in Sacramento, half a rebound with San Antonio. He did have 1.5 assists in San Antonio, a full assist in Sacramento, and was 1.1 on the season. Steals, half a steal across the board, no blocks, and then was 2.5 points with San Antonio, 2 points with Sacramento, and 2.1 points per game overall on the season. If you look at his per 36 doesn't tell you everything, doesn't give you the whole story, but kind of gives you an idea of like, okay, what could he be in like a sort of starter role if he was to get, kind of more the heavier minutes. Last year for San Antonio, it would have been 13 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.5 steals, and 0.3 blocks. So it'll be nice to round up to half a block. Right now, for those that are like, oh, he never would average that. I mean, he was basically an 8-4 guy on his best season in Minnesota. Right, so he was a guy that could he be somewhere around there? Again, he's a guy that I don't see getting very many minutes. He's a guy that I don't see playing a huge expanded role. I think this is just kind of more to fill a roster spot, kind of bring in a veteran type of guard that has had some nights. He's a guy that could have a random night here and there. He's a guy that could get to his spots and hit some shots, and like, hey, De'Aaron Fox gets the night off, right? Do you really want to trust, Dylan Harper and, Stephon Castle too heavily, or even just in a backup role, right? Like, okay, well, you can go with Jordan McLaughlin, or as you're kind of weaning in a Dylan Harper and stuff, you can again kind of go with Jordan McLaughlin in a starter or backup role, again, assuming like De'Aaron Fox gets the night off or something like that, right? And then again, just to have that kind of just solid vet off the bench that kind of fill and play out a role for a team like the San Antonio Spurs. I don't hate it, right? I think it's a solid move, acquisition. Nothing to like really write home about, but I think it's a solid move. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.